Now, just by the way, if you're curious about the formula for part C, right, it is this. This is a general term. Tn equals to 2 times negative 1 to the power of n minus 1. Okay? Okay, only if you're interested, okay? Then you go and derive this formula or see how this applies to this number sequence. Okay, moving on to part D. Part D, you have negative 6, negative 5, negative 3, 0, and 4. Okay, so once again, there's no common difference. This is a plus 1. Then this is a plus 2. This is a plus 3. And this is a plus 4, and so on. Okay, so if you can see this pattern is good enough, the next two numbers will be a plus 5 and a plus 6, right? So it will be 9, 15. Okay, the general form or general term, sorry, is Tn equals to n times n minus 1 over 2 minus 6. Okay, you don't have to know this, but just in case you're interested, what is the general term? Then this is it. Okay, for part E, look at the sequence. It's negative 4, 12, negative 36, 108. So it's pretty straightforward that it's going to be a times minus 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Okay. Sorry, I just realized I didn't put a bracket around all these negative ones. When you have two signs together, remember to put a bracket, bracket, bracket. Okay, so times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, right? So 108 times negative 3, your next number will be negative 324. Then you take that, multiply by negative 3, you get 972. Okay, so the nth term for this one is, okay, this one is complicated. Nth term is negative 4 times negative 3 to the power of n minus 1. Okay. Okay, let's look at part F. The numbers are negative 50, negative 45, negative 44, negative 39, negative 38. If you look at each number, there is no common difference, okay, from one number to the next. But let's say you look at alternate numbers, that means negative 50, then I look at negative 44, and then I look at negative 38. This is a plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. Okay, so that has a common difference. Same thing, if I look at negative 45, and then the number over here, there's also a plus 6. Okay. So perhaps we can have two number sequences, right? That means when n is odd, I can have one number sequence, and then when n is even, I can have one number sequence, because there is a common difference for alternate terms. Okay, so when n is odd, meaning t1, t3, t5, t7, and so on, right? It's a plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. What did we just learn? It is, general term is an plus b, where a is a common difference and b is the zeroth term. So the common difference in this case is 6. So when n is odd, that means I'm looking at t1, t3, t5. My general term tn will be 6n plus the zeroth term. So zeroth term, that means negative 50, I'm going to minus away another 6, right? My zeroth term will be negative 56. So when n is odd, my general term is 6n minus 56. Okay? How about when n is even? Same thing. When n is even, I'm looking at the second term, fourth term, sixth term, and so on. Okay, so when n is even, since my common difference is still 6, it's going to be 6n. But now, because this is my sort of t1, right? So my t0 is negative 45 minus 6. Can see? So negative 45 minus 6 will be negative 51. So when when n is even, my general form is Tn equals to 6n minus 51. Okay? Anyway, the next two terms are going to be negative 33 and negative 32. Why? Because over here I must plus 6 to get this number. And then from negative 38 over here, I must plus 6 to get negative 32. Okay, by the way, there's another pattern that you can form for part F. You're not restricted to just one. Let me see if I have space. So part F again, I've written out the numbers over here, right? So some of you may have observed that, oh, maybe there's this pattern of negative 50 plus 5 to get negative 45, and negative 45 plus 1 to get negative 44, then negative 44 plus 5 to get negative 39, and then negative 39 plus 1 to get negative 38. So if you do that plus 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1, the next two terms, negative 38 plus 5 will be negative 33, then plus 1 will be negative 32. So you still get the same two numbers, right? But now it is just a different pattern. So you can either use this one over here where you separate it to even and odd, or you can use this one as well. Okay, plus 5 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1. Alright. So moving on to part Oh, I just realized something. I didn't give you the next two terms for part A. Okay, the next two terms for part A, right? Minus 8, then after that you will have 40, then 40 minus 8, 32. Okay, so if you didn't write that down, just write that down. My gosh. Okay, moving on to the next part, which is part G. Okay, negative 5, comma, negative 7, then negative 11, negative 19, negative 35. So those who are fast, you can see that this is a minus 2, minus 4, minus 8, minus 16, and so on. Okay, so the next one will be a minus 32. You will get negative 67. And then negative 67 minus away 64, you will get negative 131. Which is your next number. Okay, so these two are your next two numbers, next two terms. And what is the general term? It will be Tn equals to negative 3 minus 2 to the power of n. Okay, you don't have to know this, but just for people who are curious, this is the general term. Okay, part H is pretty much almost very similar to B, right? B was 1, 2, 4, 8. Part H is 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 8. So instead of times 2 times 2 times 2, they're doing a division by 2, division by 2, division by 2 to get the next term. Okay, so the next two terms will be 1 over 16, comma 1 over 32, and the nth term will be 1 over 2 to the power of n minus 1. Okay, with that we're done with page 3. Okay, let's go to page 4, which is actually covering the general term of a number sequence. So why do we need to find the general term? So that it's easier for us to find, let's say, the 50th term, or the 100th term, or the 1000th term. Okay, so this is known as the general term or the nth term. And we've already derived the formula, so let's look at this number sequence. Let's say you have 2, 5, 8, 11, and 14. If this is your number sequence, this is T1, T2, T3, T4, and T5. Remember what we learned? How do I find the general term? It will be an plus b, where a is the common difference. So what's the common difference? Is plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. As long as you have a common difference, you can use this formula. So it will be 3n, and then I need to find the 0th term. If 2 is my first term, what is my 0th term? It will be negative 1, right? Because negative 1 plus 3 will give me the 2. Okay, so this is my 0th term, negative 1. So 3n plus negative 1, or you can just write it as 3n minus 1. This is my nth term. Okay, this page actually shows you a different method to find it. If you're interested, you can use this formula as well, but I prefer using the an plus b formula. Eventually, you will get the same answer, which is 3n minus 1. Okay, so they are telling you all about the common difference. They're telling you how to derive the nth term. Let's move on to activity 2. Now we have this number sequence 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Immediately you will know that, aha, my common difference is plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. Okay, so I want to find my t0 first, right? My t0 will be 3 minus 2, which is 1. Okay, I want to find my 0th term. It will be 1, because 1 plus 2 will give me the 3. Okay, so if I already know this, I will apply formula Tn equals to an plus b. Common difference is 2, so it's 2n, and my 0th term is 1. So 2n plus 1 is my nth term. Very simple. Okay, but this question is just telling you how to see the pattern. So you can also use a table. When n is 1, your t1, right? The term itself was 3. And how do you get 3 from 1? It will be 2 times 1 plus 1. When n is 2, it will be 2 times 2 plus 1 to get 5. When n is 3, 3 times 2 plus 1 to get 7. When n is 4, 4 times 2 plus 1 to get 9. Okay? And so on and so forth. So when n is n, it will be 2 times n plus 1. Right? Which is basically what we derived just now, 2n plus 1. Okay, so you either use the formula method. This is the formula. You apply formula, you get this answer. Or you find a pattern using the table method, which we probably have to use later on when our common difference is not so straightforward, or we don't even have a common difference. Okay, so just answer some questions. Tn equals to 2n plus 1. They are asking for the general term. And then question 2, find the 50th term. So T50 equals to 2 times 50 plus 1. Show substitution of 50. Answer is 101. So it's easy, right? Instead of writing it out 50 times, you already got it in like one step. Okay. So conclusion, nth term is known as Tn, and is also known as the general term. By substituting suitable values of n, every term can be generated. Okay, that's the conclusion. Alright, let's practice now. I suggest you pause the video now and complete practice 2 on your own first. Or you can do question 1 and 2 first and then come back to this video. Okay, I hope you have done question 1 and 2. Now let's look at 1a. Common difference is plus 4, plus 4, plus 4, plus 4. Okay, so all you need to do is to find the 0th term. 5 minus 4, the 0th term would have been 1. And then you apply formula to find Tn. Okay, so Tn will be 4n plus 1. Right? When n is 1, 4 times 1 plus 1, you get 5. So T1 is 5. Makes sense, right? Okay, next question, part B. This is a plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So common difference is 3. All you need to do is to find T0. The first term would have been negative 7. Negative 7 plus 3, you get negative 4. So the nth term is 3n minus 7. That's it. Okay, all this should be like one step. Okay, question 2. Given that the nth term is Tn equals to 2n plus 5, so in this case they gave it to you. Find the 5th term, find the 8th term. Okay, so very easy. We are going to use the formula and sub in. 2 times 5 plus 5 is 15 for part 1.